G'day all, it's Colin from PC TLC and thank you for joining me. In this video we're going to be taking a look at Ubuntu Budgie 17.10. What we'll be looking at is the Budgie welcome screen. The first thing we normally do when we install a distro is run our update. So we'll go to the Getting Started page. This is a fresh install. I've been running it for a couple of weeks on my main system. So this is my other laptop. Now I've just run some updates and restarted. So just check for more updates. Make sure that's working. Now for some reason it seems to have at the moment where you run the updates and it comes up with that error. If you click on settings as you just seen and then close the settings, it runs the update. So it must be a bit of a bug in that, I believe. Now the next thing you want to do is put in your restricted extras, as long as it's probably legal within your country, which it tells you down here. So we'll just run the updates for the restricted extras. So if you're familiar with Solus Budgie, you'll be very familiar with Ubuntu Budgie. It just has the Ubuntu base, which gives you a lot more flexibility as far as installing .deb files and so forth. So we've run the update and extras and also the restricted extras. So if you've got NVIDIA drivers, but let's have a look, additional drivers, and it'll have a look for additional drivers. I'm not going to install those right now. I have a troublesome card. Most things for me work fine on the Nouveau and I don't game, so I'm fine. But however, you would, if you want to install these, click on these and then apply changes. So that's your drivers install. Language and input. iBus is active. Install and configure FCITX. I'm not really sure what that is. I haven't had any experience with that before. That's a first for me, this one here. So everything's working fine for me, so I'll just leave that alone. And optional tasks. So optional tasks is backup and firewall. So you've got Deja dupe, I think it's called. And that's a backup tool that you can use to back up your system. Haven't really had any experience with Deja dupe myself. And you've got your GUFW, so we can install that, which I recommend you do. Install a firewall to your system. And it also tells you here about how to configure users. And it also tells you users can be found later in settings under users. So that's pretty self-explanatory really. So we'll just wait for the firewall to install. And there we go. Now, once it's installed, it tells you firewall configuration can be found in later in settings, system, firewall configuration. So we'll click on configure firewall, put in your password. And click that one there. And you're done, your firewall is on. Next we go to customization. Now customization allows you to configure the Raven panel. So let's have a look at that. That's your Raven panel there, which can also be opened and closed by this button here. You got notifications. You can clear notifications, which I just did. applets, and you got your calendar and mainly your sound in here, input and output. And if you've got other sound as accessories connected, you can change them under here by clicking these little dots if there's other inputs or outputs available to be selected. And it will also give you a settings option. So if you click on settings, it takes you directly to settings. Now your settings, there's two settings here. In here there's settings, and then there's your Budgie setting, Budgie desktop settings. So the settings is just for system wide. Budgie desktop is mainly for your panel and applets mainly. So, and your themes, theme changing and things like that. So in the normal settings, you'll just have all these options here. And in the Budgie settings, you've got the other thing. So we'll just have a quick look at Budgie settings. And then we have that there. Go back to getting started, and we got a browser Ballot, which allows you to install different browsers in here if one of these other browsers is something you prefer to use. They are all available. So I'm not sure what version of Firefox would be installed. However, we won't go through that now. It's probably a lengthy install, so that's pretty handy there anyway to have that. You got your keyboard shortcuts, which explains how your keyboard shortcuts work and what they do. You can run through that, get to know them if you like to use keyboard shortcuts. And last but not least, the system specifications of your computer. And also valuable information here. If you're troubleshooting your computer, you got all the information for your specs at hand. So that's quite handy. Then we shall go back. So that's the getting started. We also have the recommendations under here. Now the recommendations we have is enable Ubuntu Budgie backports repository. So they're recommending that you enable the backports. So we'll click on that and we'll enable the backports. So while that's coming down, we'll have a look at failed installation of backport. I'm not sure what's happened there. Well, actually, it looks like it's not available for selection anymore, so it must have worked. Now we have a Screenshot Applet here. We'll install that Screenshot Applet. These are the recommendations. And down here we have install and configure Flatpak. So our Screenshot Applet has been installed. You've also got, let's see, install and configure Flatpak. You can install that if you wish. You've got skippy-xd, which is a Windows overview. We'll install that as well. So if we have a look, if we right click, if we go to Budgie settings, so let's have a look at Budgie settings, Budgie desktop settings, and we go to top panel, add applet, and we look for the screenshot. Now I have a feeling that we may need to log out and log back in for this to show up. And you can also install and configure Steam. Repository is installed. Screenshot Applet is installed. skippy-xd is installed. Okay. Snap is already installed by default. So the only thing you need to install now is the Flatpak and the Steam. If those things are the kind of things that you need, then you can install those. So that's the recommendations. So I'm just going to stop the video there, and I'm going to log out and log back in. Okay, so I've restarted. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up the Budgie settings right now and go to top panel and add applets. And we're looking for screenshot. Now there's a screenshot there, add applet. So you have a screenshot, so you can do screen, window, or a selection. And you've got history and settings. So you've got available settings there. You can save it in a different destination. Don't save screenshots. Use global delay. Individual. Built-in display, so you can choose which monitor if you have two monitors. So they're all very handy settings there. So that's your screenshot tool. Now the other thing that was installed was skippy-xd. Now skippy-xd is a Windows overview. So if we open up all these windows, now what we need to do is we need to go to settings. So if we go to settings, we go to devices and keyboard. We've got our shortcuts here. So what we need to do is we need to add, because skippy-xd, if we go to our settings again, if we add applet, I don't think it would even be in here. No, it's not. So once you've installed skippy-xd under the welcome screen, which was under recommendations, skippy-xd. So if you have a look at that, that name there is actually the way you type the command. So we will go back to here. We'll add, so we're in the keyboard, so we scroll down to the bottom, click the plus button, give it a name. You can have capitals in here, it's just the name of, so you can recognize what it is. And then you got the command. So we type in skippy-xd. Get set shortcut. Now I'm going to give it Alt and D for desktop. That's how I'm going to remember it. And click on add. Then you got your skippy-xd. So, and remember when you see it here, that's exactly how you type it in the keyboard shortcut. So if I hit Alt D, there we go. And it gives you a name when you hover, and it tells you what you're hovering over. Budgie welcome, home, settings. So there's your keyboard shortcut done. So that is the skippy-xd. But I find this quite handy just to have a quick look at the windows that you're after. So let's go back to the welcome screen and we will have a look at install software, Budgie Applets. Now we've got the Screenshot Applet, we've got the Haste Applet. I haven't used that. I'm not really sure how they use this. It must be for commands or something. You can post any text, be it code or prose, to various services directly from your desktop. So I haven't really tried that or given that a go. I don't really use that type of applet, so that might be something worthwhile looking at. So we've got the calendar applet we can install. So I'm going to go ahead and install all these, and then I will come back and show you how to add them and tweak them a bit if we need to. Okay, so all the applets have been installed, including the Haste Applet. So I'll just run through the applets. The Screenshot Applet we've already looked at. You've got your Haste Applet your calendar applet, brightness control applet, pixel saver applet, global menu applet, weather applet, and system monitor applet. So let's go ahead and see if any of these are available, which I don't think they will be. We need to log out and log back in. So let's do that first. Okay, so I've logged out and logged back in. We're going to look for our Budgie settings, Budgie desktop settings, and top panel, add applet. So we have, now let's go back to the welcome screen so we can have a look at the quick previews on these. I sort of have a good idea as to what they do, but I just wanted to, except for this Haste Applet. So we've got the Budgie Pixel Saver. Now the Budgie Pixel Saver hides the title bar from maximize windows and creates a new one inside the panel. Okay, so Budgie Pixel Saver, add applet. Now Pixel Saver. Now when you select your applet, on the side here you will have options. Now some of them don't have options because they run sort of in the background and they don't need any tweaking with options here. So in this case this has got options, so you can sort all that out. But first of all, let's just have a look at what this does. So let's go to Office, say LibreOffice Calc, and open that up, and let's see what's happening with this here. So if we was to go back to here and turn this off, so if we delete the applet, so now you can see that we have the bar in here. So let's add the applet back in. So top panel, Pixel Saver, add applet. Now our bar is gone. So there's our close and minimize and maximize buttons up here. So it's given us just that little bit more room. So that's what that does. So if we was to, let's just have another look at that. So if we was to remove the applet again, Pixel Saver, remove, then our bar's back here. So our close and minimize and maximize buttons are all back again within the windows. So that's what the Pixel Saver does. Now we'll go to add again Budgie Weather, add applet. So there's our weather. We can choose which weather to use, G weather or open weather. I don't know which one's better. So location, let's look for my location, which is Perth, Western Australia. Update now, and there's our weather applet. Not quite sure if it has anything else on there. No, just tells you the weather. No right click, no nothing. Okay. Okay. So we'll add calendar, add applet. So you got the standard time that comes with Budgie and the calendar, which is full screen calendar, and preferences for the time as well. And this one here looks very similar, however it's just a calendar. That's what that applet is. So has it got any options? No settings available. Okay. So it's not just a calendar, it has some settings here. So let's open up these settings, and here you have show date, show seconds, custom date. So just like in the XFCE desktop, you can actually adjust all these if you know the formulas, and you can probably find those online with the XFCE date and time. I like the format the way it is, and let's turn off the date. And also, you've got a date format syntax here, so it takes you to online to the date format, so it gives you the information there. So that's great. That's really handy there, handy to have. So we'll just close that out, go back to the settings, and then this one here, you got your date, time and date settings, takes you to the time and date settings within the settings application. So that's good as well. So that's the same as going to settings here and clicking on that and opening that for your date and time. So that's really handy. So that's the calendar app. Lots of, and that's about Budgie Calendar Applet. So that's the Budgie Calendar Applet. Global menu, which is something very popular in the Unity desktop. So if we was to open up LibreOffice again, Calc, now you'll find that you have your menus in the global menu. So no menus in the window, it's all up here on your panel, which is the same behavior as the Unity desktop. So for now I will get rid of that global menu. Show menus from Windows. Let's delete that. Sometimes they have different names when they're installed, so it can be a little bit confusing to find those applets. So then we got the Haste Applet. Let's add that applet. Let's have a look. Your haste will show up here. Add. My command. Share. Enter. No. Okay, so I'm not really sure what that does. Like I said, I have no experience with that whatsoever, and it really does show. So that's just removed that applet. Somebody else might know what that does. If anybody knows what that does, please make a comment, because I'm sure there's many people out there that know. You've already got your night light notifications. So if we looked at everything, Pixel Saver, Weather Applet, System Monitor Applet is the other one. System Monitor, add Applet. So there's your System Monitor there. And it has a shortcut to that as well. So that's handy. I like that. That's real cool. So that's just, it gives you a nice little memory and CPU, which is all we're really interested in at the end of the day. Unless you're into temperatures and all that, and you've got a troublesome computer for temperatures, that's a nice handy little applet there. So I've just run an update, and I think it may have crashed. Let's have a look. Software updater. Click on the settings button, close that, and it should run the update. So there's a slight bug in the update for some reason. So there's the update, Budgie welcome. So that should have, I think, the extra applets for the panel. So we'll install that and see what happens there. So that update has been installed. So let's have a look at the sorry, the welcome screen is over here anyway. You may even have to reboot, I think. Budgie Applets. So there we go, we have the new applets installed. So we've got the Hot Corners applet, the Quick Note applet, Workspace Overview applet, the Previews applet. So let's install, I'll go ahead and install these. So those new applets have been installed. So let's go back to our Budgie desktop settings, top panel, add applet. And once again, it probably will not show up. We need to log out. Right, so I've logged back in and we're going to add some new applets to the panel. Hopefully they're all there. So we have our Hot Corners, add applet. So there you have your hot corner there. Let's just go back to Ubuntu Budgie welcome to Applets. So we're just going to have a quick look. Hot Corners. So what the Hot Corners does is it gives you a command. You can choose top left. If we was to type in what browser are we using here? We're using Chromium browser, I believe. So if we go Chromium-browser, I believe the command is www.distrowatch, which we can all relate to, .com, and then we go top left bar, and there's a slight pause there, so you have to hold your mouse there and it takes you directly to DistroWatch with your select the browser that you typed in. So there you go. So if we wanted to open, say, Nautilus home colon documents, it should do that. And there's my documents. And that's probably a good idea to have that pause so you can't accidentally, if you're going for this menu here, then it doesn't react straight away. So there's a slight pause there, which is good. So that's your Hot Corners. You got your Quick Note. Let's add Quick Note. If we can find it, Quick Note, add applet. So we replace that text. I am typing text into Quick Note to see how it works. How long will this go on? Please stop me. I'm now addicted. Okay, so let's just leave that there for a bit. We have Previews Applet. If we can find the name of Windows Previews, Expose Windows, it must be that one. Let's add that to the applet, Expose Windows. So this one here gives you, shows you, so the Hot Corners, there's no settings available because they're applets. The settings are within the applet itself. This one here has got the settings, Alt-Tab. So if we select Alt-Tab, then you've got your overview and the windows, how many windows you got down there. So that's the, sorry, that's Alt-Tab. Let's try that again. Oh, I've changed Windows. Let's go back. So Alt-Tab, show all windows. Super-Tab, show windows of the active application. Super-Tab. Okay, so if you've got more than one window open for that application, just press the Super button or close it from there. So that's your previews applet. You got your workspace overview, add applet, workspace overview, add applet. There's no settings for that. So what was that supposed to do? Use the applets menu. Our text is still showing, so that's okay. So there's your applets menu there, so you can change workspaces with the applet. Too easy. So you can have it look simple, dotted. Okay. So next we're going to have another look at the Windows overview. We've got the Windows overview here. Now if you have a look, these two dots here are representative of how many windows are open on that workspace. In this case it's 2. So if we was to expose that with skippy-xd, you can see that there's 2 windows open. You got your chain workspace wallpaper applet. Wallpaper switcher, set wallpaper per workspace, so let's add that applet. Workspaces and windows, so where's that applet gone? Set wallpaper per workspace. Applet runs without a panel icon, so if we was to change workspaces and change the background, let's put the guitar. Select. Okay, so I've set the wallpaper. So in Budgie desktop settings, don't quite know what was going on there, but in the top panel we've got the set wallpaper per workspace. It is running. So if we run through the different desktops here, you'll find that they all have their wallpaper that I selected per desktop. And if you was to turn that off, then obviously you'd be using the same wallpaper per desktop. And the window mover applet. So you got the window mover. So that's top panel, add applet, and the window mover. Window desktop mover, so there you've got, it's running now. Control-Alt-W calls the window mover, Control-Alt-S call the desktop mover. So Control-Alt and W, and there you can move your window to a different workspace. Now with the window desktop mover, Control-Alt-W moves the window, and Control-Alt-S gives you the selection of which workspace you want to go to. So if we go Control-Alt-W, window mover, so let's just say we've got this window there, Control-Alt-W. Now if we choose workspace number 2, that window is now in workspace 2. As you can see, the 2 dots has gone to 1 because that window's moved to number 2, and there it is there. So if we was to call Control-Alt-S, we can move workspace. Control-Alt-S, workspace number 4, representative of a different window. Workspace 3 will have a different backdrop. Workspace 2 has the window there plus a different wallpaper as well, and workspace 1 will have the OBS window there with a different wallpaper as well. So that's how you use the window mover. We'll add the brightness applet. Have a look at that. Brightness applet we add to the panel, and there's your brightness control. So that's a very simple, straightforward app. So that's the brightness app. It's the desktop Showtime applet. So I'm going to add that. Wrong settings. Bottom panel. Add an applet. Now we're looking for the Showtime. Showtime, there it is. So we'll add that applet. Now there it is there. So you've got, oh there it is, desktop time and date. Okay, so you can move the time and date. You can set a custom position for it. The applet runs without a panel icon, by the way, so it's good that Budgie tells you all this information down here. So I suppose that I'm not sure how this works. 320 by 320, let's just see where that puts it. Probably won't, oh there it is there. So that was just a random number I put in. So let's just uncheck that. Well actually let's just put that back as 0 and 0, press OK. And it's back there again. Uncheck that because we don't want to use custom at this point. So you can pretty much put that anywhere on the desktop just by working out the number of configurations you need there. So you can set the time color. So I'll set the time to something a little bit outrageous. Let's go yellow. Choose. And the date color, let's go a green. Let's go a fancy green. Choose. So there we go. So you got a little bit of flexibility there. It's quite nice. So that is the desktop time and date app. So next in the Ubuntu Budgie welcome is the Software Center. That'll take you directly to the Software Center. And you can also search for the Software Center in your menu under Software. That'll open that up as well. So if we close something with this, a little bit unstable is the Software Center, but these 1710 editions, the Ubuntu range, they are like a bit of a testing zone for these desktops as well. So until they release the long-term support, you can have some issues. So just keep that in mind. Software. So if you used to click on software, and that's your Software Center. You can also choose to install snaps. Now, just clicking on the snaps takes you to the snap, the uaexplorer.com and snaps, so you can browse all the snaps online. Now, the same applies with the names of these. If you want to install these, I'll just see if we can find something that's worthwhile installing. Events, or something with two names in it. Probably doesn't really matter. So we'll go back there and we'll install events. So if we go to our terminal and type in sudo snap install events, exactly how it's written, enter that. And that'll install your snap. So when it brings you here, all you need to do is scroll and look for the name and type the name how you see it. Now there's a couple of odd ones. This one here, I'm not sure whether you type it as that is, but normally you don't have gaps in names in Linux as far as I know, but I'm going to have to confirm that. Oh, we got MailSpring in there too, actually. Now, within the Snap apps, just having another look at this. And if we wanted to install something, and I'll use probably MailSpring as an example, let's click on that. Now it's got an install button here. So we click install, open with XDG, and install. Put in your password. And it's installing the app. So the Software Center has said it needed to restart now. So I've done that and it's getting some Flatpak metadata for FlatHub. So we'll just wait until that finishes, and there we go. Something went wrong, that's normal. So I'm going to try another app because that one takes just a little bit too long to install. So I've done a little bit of searching around, and so I didn't want to put you through the pain of boringly watch me search around. So I've got this Eye of Gnome image viewer. So I'm going to install that. I'm not sure if you have to install FlatHub stuff for every application, so we'll see how that goes. So we open with the XDG, install, password. Okay, so that appears to have installed. So we'll look for the, we'll go to graphics, and we have our image viewer. Okay, so I've installed Eye of Gnome, but it does not appear to be starting. So I don't know why, but I've logged out, I've restarted, and that's not doing anything. So I'm not sure if there's a problem with that one or I've done something wrong. However, we'll continue to look at something else to install to see if something else will work installing this way. So I haven't had any problems installing the other way. So what I may do is I'll install MailSpring and I'll pause the video. So that's saying it's installed. Oh, I didn't get that far. So it's installed. Some of these can take a while to open as well. So MailSpring's working. Okay. So MailSpring has been installed. So we had one successful install. Just the Eye of Gnome is not working at this point. Okay, so that's how you install snaps on Ubuntu Budgie. So, and then also in Ubuntu Budgie, we have in the welcome, under software, is the Flatpak apps, and that will take you to the FlatHub. Now I can tell you 100% I've tried this. They work, but not from here. If you click on these, for me anyway, it doesn't work. It doesn't recognize. So if I was to install Audacity and click on that, it downloads Audacity here, as you can see. Now if you click on that to open it, I'm not sure. Let's have a look. The application software has closed unexpectedly. Leave it closed. That's fine. Now, this is for the Flatpak. Don't know how to handle file home colon downloads or Audacity team.audacity flatpak ref. Okay, so it doesn't recognize that. So what you need to do, best way, is go to the command line, look for Audacity, and then copy and paste this into your terminal and it'll install. Now I'm not sure if Flatpak is actually installed by default. I'm pretty sure it's not. So if we go back to the Budgie welcome to recommendations, I think it was Flatpak, install and configure Flatpak. So I'm going to click on install and configure Flatpak. So Flatpak is installed. We need to reboot for the service to start. So let's reboot. So we're going to revisit Flatpak apps. I'm going to open the Budgie welcome. Go to Flatpak apps. Now I haven't used Agenda before. I'm just going to use this as an example. So I'm going to click on that. And as you can see, it's downloaded it. And if I go to my downloads folder, you'll see there it is there, Agenda. So what we can do with that is we can sudo Flatpak install and drag that over into there and hit enter. So all you need to do is sudo Flatpak install, put in your password, and we'll see what happens. I haven't tried this yet, so it's asking me to confirm. So we'll see what happens with that. Okay, so that appears to be complete. So we'll see if the agenda is in the menu. So no agenda in the menu. So maybe we need to log out and log back in. Seems to be the case. Let's have another search. Agenda. It's not showing. So I will pause and then come back. Okay, so I've logged back in and we'll have a look and see if agenda is in the... Yes, there's agenda there, and we have 2 entries in the menu. Not sure what that's all about, although it's not opening. Maybe give it some time. Agenda, there we go. Add a task, Ubuntu Budgie. I'm not sure what this thing does, never used it. Alright, so what's this do? Oh, it just crosses it out. So it's just a... Yep, I see what it does. Okay, so that's that Flatpak installed. So we've installed Agenda by clicking on this app here and downloading it, and then dragging the downloaded file into the terminal. So now what we're going to do is install something from the command line into the terminal, just slightly different. So if we hit Control F and we do a search for My Paint, I'm going to install My Paint. So there's My Paint there. So we highlight all this, copy that, open your terminal, type in sudo space, paste that command, enter, type in your password, and there we can see it's installing My Paint. And there we have it. My Paint has been installed, so we'll just have a look for My Paint. Should be in graphics, and My Paint. And we have help about My Paint 1.2.1. There we go. So My Paint successfully installed. So if we go back to the welcome screen we go to default settings. Here, if you've messed up your panel or anything like that, so I've added a few things, this and that, the weather. So if you've messed it all up and you're not sure how to get it back, just go to default settings and reset Budgie panel, and that'll reset the panel for you. That's one thing that's in the default settings. The other things are themes, pre-installed themes. So we've got an adapter theme here. I like the adapter theme, so I'm going to install that. And once it's installed, you can click on apply theme like this one here. That's the Arc design, which I think is the one that we're running now. You've also got Evo Pop, which is not a bad theme, the Evo Pop. That was early Solus. So we'll just wait for that to come down. So I suppose the gist of the story here is this Budgie welcome is just jam-packed full of features. This is your friend in Budgie, and everything you need to do to get yourself started is all in this window. It's quite an awesome welcome screen, I must say. It's probably one of the most comprehensive ones I've come across. And there's no need to go anywhere else to set up your system besides here. And then once you've got it going and you're comfortable with the rest of the system and how it works, then you can just go to settings yourself and do the things you need to do. So Budgie desktop settings, for example, you can change. Don't think we have adapter in here, so there's no adapter. So let's just wait till that theme comes down, and we'll see if the adapter is available to change around in the Budgie settings. So what we can do actually is go to settings, and add that, keep in dock, and Budgie desktop settings, and keep that in dock as well. Now I don't know if we can change this, we can change them around, so we'll keep the Budgie right up the top. So we'll just see if that theme, no, the theme's still downloading. And just to finish off, you've got your online store, your community, get involved, and you donate. And all the other social media links down the bottom there. And this one here, if you want to show this dialog every time you start up, then you can click on that. If you untick it, it will not show up on startup. If you're looking for it, just type welcome in the menu, and there's your Budgie welcome, and it'll open this screen. It's as easy as that. Okay, so the theme has installed, so all we need to do now is click on apply theme. And there's our adapter theme. Now if we have a look at Budgie desktop settings, we should now have adapter. Yep, got all the adapters there, and it's using the paper icon set. So it installs the themes for the top bar and the icons and all that. I don't know if a cursor as well. Okay, nice. So that very much finishes off the Ubuntu Budgie welcome. Well, that was a look at Ubuntu Budgie 17.10 post-install completed with the welcome screen. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.